There is a moment most people experience, but honestly rarely talk about. It's when you realize the faces change, the names change, but yeah, the emotional experience stays the same. The same distance, the same rejection, the same instability. At some point, you stop blaming coincidence and start asking a harder question. Why does this keep happening to me? This is not about luck, and it is not about fate. It is about the unconscious patterns driving your decisions without your awareness. Your nervous system is not drawn to what is healthy. It is drawn to what is familiar. Even if that familiarity comes from pain, neglect, or emotional inconsistency, it feels predictable, and predictability feels safe. This is where shadow work begins, not as a trend or theory, but as a direct confrontation with the hidden forces shaping your relationships, your reactions, and your identity. If you understand this, you stop repeating cycles that waste years of your life. You stop chasing people who reinforce your wounds, and you start making decisions from awareness instead of conditioning. Your shadow contains the emotional patterns you learned early and never consciously questioned. Your shadow is not just your dark side. It is every part of yourself you were taught to suppress, deny, or hide in order to survive emotionally. Most of these patterns formed during childhood, when your brain was adapting to your environment. If attention came inconsistently, you learned to chase it. If love came with conditions, you learned to earn it. If emotional expression was punished, you learned to suppress your needs. These adaptations worked at the time. They protected you, but they also became your blueprint for adult relationships. A practical way to identify this is to look at your emotional patterns, not your intentions. You may say you want stability, but if you consistently feel drawn to emotionally unavailable people, your unconscious is choosing familiarity over health. The first step is writing down the emotional traits of people you've been drawn to. Not their appearance or status, but their emotional behavior. Distance, inconsistency, unpredictability. Then compare that to your early emotional environment. The similarities are rarely accidental. Your triggers reveal the parts of yourself that remain unresolved and unintegrated. People often believe triggers are caused by others, but actually triggers reveal what already exists inside you. They expose unresolved emotional injuries that were never processed properly. For example, if someone takes longer than expected to reply, and you immediately feel anxiety or abandonment, the intensity of that reaction is not about the present moment. It's really about what that moment represents. Your nervous system is reacting to historical emotional memory, not current reality. Instead of reacting automatically, observe your reaction. When you feel triggered, just pause and identify the emotion underneath the reaction. Is it fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, or maybe fear of not being enough? Naming the emotion reduces its unconscious power. This simple act interrupts automatic behavior and replaces it with awareness. Self-sabotage continues because it provides a hidden psychological payoff. Self-sabotage looks irrational on the surface, but it serves a psychological function. It protects your identity. If you believe deep down that you are unworthy of stable love, success, or peace, then achieving those things creates internal conflict. Your conscious mind wants progress, but your unconscious identity resists it. People sabotage relationships when they start becoming stable. They withdraw, create conflict, or lose interest. Not because stability is bad, but because stability feels unfamiliar. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar peace. To break this, you must notice when things are going well and observe your impulses. Do you feel restless, suspicious, or uncomfortable when nothing is wrong? That discomfort is your nervous system adjusting to a new reality. Staying present through that discomfort is honestly how you rewire your patterns. Projection causes you to see your shadow in others instead of recognizing it in yourself. Projection is one of the most powerful and invisible psychological mechanisms. It happens when you attribute qualities to others that exist within yourself but remain unacknowledged. If you constantly encounter people who seem emotionally unavailable, it is important to examine where you may be emotionally unavailable to yourself. This can show up as ignoring your own needs, suppressing your emotions, or avoiding vulnerability. You can apply this by paying attention to strong emotional reactions, both positive and negative. The traits you admire intensely and the traits you resent intensely often reflect parts of yourself that are either underdeveloped or denied. Recognizing projection brings those parts back into your awareness, where you can integrate them instead of unconsciously seeking them externally. Emotional maturity develops when you stop reacting automatically and start responding consciously. Emotional maturity is not about suppressing emotion, it is about developing awareness between stimulus and response. When something triggers you, your first reaction is automatic, but your response can be chosen. A practical exercise is to delay your reaction. When you feel the urge to send an emotional message, withdraw, or confront someone impulsively, wait. Give yourself time to observe the emotion without acting on it. This creates space between emotion and behavior. Over time, this strengthens your ability to act intentionally instead of react unconsciously. Individuation begins when you separate your identity from your conditioning. Individuation is the process of becoming who you actually are, separate from the roles and conditioning imposed on you. Many people build their identity around survival adaptations. They become the strong one, the independent one, or the agreeable one. These roles protect them, but they also limit them. Individuation requires questioning those roles. Ask yourself whether your behaviors reflect your authentic self or your survival strategy. For example, independence can be strength, but it can also be avoidance of vulnerability. Self-reliance becomes a defense when it prevents connection. Recognizing this distinction allows you to choose your identity instead of inheriting it unconsciously. Integration of your shadow ends the cycle of repetition and creates real psychological freedom. The goal of shadow work is not to eliminate parts of yourself. It is to integrate them. When you acknowledge your fears, insecurities, and suppressed emotions, they lose their unconscious control over your behavior. You stop seeking external situations to replay internal conflicts. You stop attracting relationships that mirror unresolved wounds. And you start making decisions aligned with your awareness instead of your conditioning. This is not quick work, but it is permanent work. It changes the trajectory of your relationships and your life. If you found this valuable and want more serious, in-depth psychological and human behavior analysis, subscribe to the channel and share this with someone who is ready to break their patterns.